It's been a Barbie summer, and the culprits for it are Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie. I've analyzed Greta Gerwig's chart on my website, thespiritualsocial.com, in which I compare her natal placements with those of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, go check that out. And in this clip, I wanted to look at Margot Robbie's chart. I wanted to figure out what made her gravitate towards Barbie as a part, since we know and love her from Suicide Squad, from playing the infamous Harlequin. As always, there's an astrological explanation for why things happen in our lives. I'm Lexi, your local lightworker. I'm a tarot reader and an astrologer. Welcome to ASTROBABES, the series in which I explore the birth charts of famous female celebrities for your viewing pleasure. In today's episode, we will dive into the birth chart of one hot Barbie-esque Margot Robbie. Now, Margot Robbie is an Australian actress who rose to prominence in the collective due to roles such as the one she played in The Wolf of Wall Street, Harlequin in Suicide Squad. I also loved her in I, Tanya. My family also loved her in The Legend of Tarzan, where she stars alongside Alexander Skarsgård. Go check out the Astrohunk clip I created of him if you're really curious or if you love the pairing that they had there. Now, Margot also starred in Babylon and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She had some controversial roles, or some people actually criticized the things that she dived into, but all in all, I have to say that she's a really wonderful actress because she's quite versatile. There is something inwardly tough about her performances. I think that throughout her career, she's made herself quite endearing both to critics and to the wider public. And this summer, with the smash hit Barbie, she genuinely managed to capture our attention. So in this clip, I'm going to dive deep into the 5 key aspects that stand out from her chart to my eyes as an astrologer. Of course, we can talk about a birth chart for weeks, months, maybe. We can write books about a person's birth chart. But in this clip, due to the length of the video, I don't want to bore you. I just want to inspire you to do some more research on your own and to actually try to see the links between Margot's life, her career and choices, and the astrological energies that she was born with. So I'm only going to focus on 5 key aspects. Feel free to do some more digging into her chart if you love her, if you are a fan, or if you're trying to learn astrology. Before I dive into those key aspects, have a look at her chart so you can... The first aspect that I want to dive into are her big 3 placements. This means her sun, moon, and ascendant. These are the most personal placements that people usually tend to notice about us, especially the ascendant, since the ascendant marks the outer appearance of a person, the sun, their energy, identity, and vitality, and the moon, their emotions and how they are in private, how they love, and how they like to rest. So Margot has a sun in Cancer, conjunct her ascendant in Cancer, and a moon in Scorpio, as you can see from this bubble over here. Let me just position myself so you have enough space. Now, I would like to take each of these placements one by one and explore them a little bit further, because she has her sun and her moon with some interesting planetary influences. Let's begin with her sun. Her sun in Cancer, conjunct Mercury, is conjunct the ascendant as well and placed in the 12th house. Now, this is the softest house of the zodiac. It is the realm naturally ruled by Pisces. So Margot borrows some traits from Piscean energy. She is a Cancerian Piscean, if you want to call it like that, because it's important to look into your chart placements, not only at the sign in which your sun is, but also the house in which it lies, because that tells you that your personality is colored in a different way than the personality of all the other people in this world that may have been born in the same astrological sign as you. Having Jupiter so close to the ascendant gives Margot this incredibly expansive energy. She attracts towards her very easily the right opportunities, the wealthy kind of people that can support her life goals, and she is blessed by the divine. She constantly feels like things are possible. She can do whatever she sets her mind to. However, this expansive, beautiful energy can also take a toll on her, because having Jupiter conjunct the sun can also create a lot of drama and exaggerations in her life. Now, the 12th house is considered to be the house of hidden enemies. it is also the house of seclusion and isolation. Having Jupiter in the 12th house so close to the sun is an indicator that Margot is meant to travel quite widely to expand her group of friends and family, and also even foes and enemies, but that she also may travel by herself, that she also may prefer her lonely time, her alone time, her quiet downtime, and that she also has a very strong faith in the divine protecting her. I'm not sure if she is religious. I haven't come across any articles or interviews in which she talks about the divine, but I can see here a person that's very faithful and has some sort of spiritual link to a higher power guiding her moves and her decisions. With Mercury conjunct her sun, I know that some astrologers would call planets that are so close to the sun as combust, but I don't find any value in calling a person's combust. Because it just tells you that maybe the planet might not be working well. But on the contrary, my opinion is quite different and positive as an astrologer. I like to think that the planets enhance your solar identity rather than function improperly, because I'm not really of a nihilistic or pessimistic mindset. So having Jupiter in the 12th house indeed tends to give a person's blessings in a more slower, subtle fashion. The things that she attracts towards her could also be maybe a feeling of needing to let go, of having to forgive a lot of people, but she also enjoys her alone time. She's highly creative and ultra intuitive. Not only is she a sun in Cancer, but in a water house, the 12th house, and with the moon in Scorpio, well, Margot is an individual that tends to use her instinct, her gut reactions to make decisions in her life, less so her mind. And we're going to go in a second into the other position in the chart that tells me that she is such an instinctive being and she makes decisions off the cuff very quickly, guided by emotion rather than reason. So a sun in Cancer shows an individual that is quite maternal, nurturing, soft, imaginative, a person that enjoys spending time at home, a person that loves being together with somebody else, that loves to be in a connection with a potential soulmate. And we can see that Margot has been married to Tom Ackerley, an English producer, since 2016, which is, to be honest, in Hollywood, this is a pretty long-term connection, and I wish them both well. I hope that they stay together and progress in this partnership. The second aspect that really stands out from her chart, especially to myself, since I love to look at the karmic nodes of the moon.
Hey guys, editing Lexi here. I just realized I made a huge blunder. I was so invested in talking about Margot Robbie's South Node and North Node placement in the 1st and the 7th house that I accidentally thought throughout the entire recording that Margot has a South Node in Aries and a North Node in Libra. But that cannot be further away from the truth, as you can see from her chart as well. She has a South Node in Leo and a North Node in Aquarius. However, the entire interpretation that I'm giving in the following still applies, because Leo is very friendly energy with Aries, being both fire signs, and Libra is also friendly energy to Aquarius, being both air signs. So I hope that I didn't get you confused. Sorry about this one. I'll try to make better in the next clip.
And she has this placement in the house natally ruled by Aries, the 1st house, the house of the self, identity, and the body. So it's kind of like she has this overemphasized sense of confidence and self-assuredness. She knows that she can tackle any project with ease, and this confidence is also magnified by the fact that she has Jupiter, the god of blessings and good luck, conjunct her sun, and Mercury as well, which kind of shows me that she identifies very strongly with her thoughts, with her ideas. With so much energy in water signs, she can be quite moody and she can be quite fickle from time to time. I think she takes things very personally as well, and she might find it very hard to detach from certain situations that can be seen in both sides. So she's needing to learn to develop how to think reasonably and how to see another person's perspective, how to do what is right because she's following rules rather than to follow the wisdom of her heart. And that is what her North Node 7th house is pointing towards. So Margot is meant to create a lot of long-term connections in this incarnation, but she can only achieve that if she's being honest, authentic, and if she's using the charisma that she came so well endowed with to put it into the service of other people. to empathize with other people, to embody the roles of different people from all different walks of life, relate to a variety of different people, and tackle challenges head on. And she needs to take that energy from her comfort zone and to explore her growth zone. And her growth zone are relationships, other people, seeing the bigger picture, but also integrating her shadow self, because the 7th house is the house of what we don't see about us, but other people are able to see. So she needs to talk to other people. She needs to have these conversations in which other people mirror back at her certain things that she might dislike. And as she is growing and becoming wiser and older, she is able to integrate more parts of her shadow aspect. So the big problem with having a South Node in the 1st house and a Sun conjunct Jupiter so close to the Ascendant as well is the fact that you tend to be a bit selfish. You tend to be self-obsessed. You tend to prefer your alone time, and you might not want to actually deal with the weird world of relationships and thinking about other people or consulting other people. But the good part is that you are so confident, so charismatic, so full of faith and a sort of like can-do attitude that people will inevitably be drawn towards you. They will flock towards you, trying to love you and relate with you and give you things and just wanting to help you out. So we see how she's having her life placed between these two existences. And to be honest, I feel like the two roles that have made her super famous worldwide are connected to these two karmic points. You need both of these energies in your life in order to succeed. You can't just completely discard the content of your South Node. No, you need that kind of energy that you naturally are good at in order to achieve the contents, the goals, and the challenges of your specific destiny point, your North Node. So we see how beautifully Margot is using her natural good looks, and also some people have claimed that she has some enhancements, some cosmetic surgeries. One thing I need to say is that North Node in Libra energy is also the energy of social justice, and Barbie is a movie that has a very strong gender equality message. So we see how Margot, not only by starring in this movie but also by helping to produce it, is putting forth this agenda in a much softer, sugar-coated, humorous way. Now the third placement that I need to talk to you from Margot's chart is her moon in Scorpio. Oh boy, this is such a powerful placement because it shows an individual that could seem calm, collected, and in control on the surface, but wow, she's a raging volcano underneath. And this volcanic energy doesn't necessarily have to be bad. She can be incredibly passionate, loving, and protective with the people that are closest and dearest to her, but she can also be quite detached and portraying some sort of mask in front of other individuals. And through the nature of her work as an actress, she needs to have this foreground and background persona, and her background with so much Scorpionic energy, because we see that her moon is not only in Scorpio, but it is also conjunct Pluto, and also her part of fortune, which is that symbol of the wheel, the circle with the X inside of it, which also portends blessings, wisdom, and fortune. But it is also conjunct the asteroid Lilith, the wild feminine archetype. Check out this video that I created previously in which I explored the many different Lilith placements and what Lilith represents in astrology rather than mythology, if you want a refresher or a primer. Now coming back to Margot's energy, we can see that with the moon in Scorpio, already an intense, dark, deep, sexual, kind of intimacy bound, healing, spiritual sign, conjunct Pluto, which amplifies that Plutonic energy, because a moon in Scorpio is already ruled by Pluto. If you add a conjunction to Pluto in the mix, it makes it ultra Plutonic. And conjunct Lilith, this untamed, wild energy, kind of talks about intense emotions that could lead to ruin. So we see here an individual that feels things incredibly intense, but she also has to put a lid on them. She also has to know when to explore her feelings, when to share them with other people, and when to hold back, when not to reveal anything. It's interesting because she spends the majority of her acting in Barbie crying and being quite fiercely obsessed by this idea that she could die. So I thought it was fascinating how this energy was actually transposed onto the screen in such a cute movie, right? Because you have the feeling that, oh, Barbie is such a superficial story, but Margot kind of gives it a special kind of depth. She truly is emotionally invested in this life and death kind of philosophical debate, in this gender equality debate as well. We see her strongly portraying that kind of energy as well in other movies. For example, in I, Tonya, in which I absolutely love her performance. I feel that the crazy, intense, desperate kind of vibes of this very wounded kind of energy in her chart comes up so beautifully. But not only that, in The Legend of Tarzan, she also is in love with this man towards which she has this kind of primal attachment, and he has that towards her. It's a lot about this racial inequality, gender inequality, the fight for survival, intense love affairs or intense love connections. But it's also about how she's able to take the surrounding negativity and transform it into something that makes the heart freer, that kind of brings a positive, life-affirming message. And I see it so beautifully reflected, all of this energy that you guys see here in the most private corner of her chart. Margot is connected to her mother and how she empowers her mother through her financial power. Scorpio and Taurus energies in the birth chart, they do talk about emotional values that are connected with financial gains. So Margot, being emotionally attached to her mother to a really fierce degree, has helped her pay for her house and relieve her of a mortgage. And this has created more safety, and I feel that for Margot, this has been something that could have actually toppled any other awards or achievements that she was able to gain throughout her career. I generally feel that her inner world, her privacy, her family, her relationship to her husband matter more to Margot than any other success stories that we see displayed on the screen or any other kind of looks that she puts forward on the red carpet. I do feel that to her, looking good and doing all the PR show and the interviews, those are a stressor in her daily life. Now, the fourth placement is a combination of two placements. I'm being a little bit sneaky here. I want to talk about the ways in which she is as a person when she relates to other people. So her relational energy, which is usually shown by a person's Venus in their chart. And I also want to look at her energy levels and what drives her. What is she moving towards? What are her ambitions? This is usually shown by the Mars placement in a person's chart. So we can see very clearly from her chart, I'm going to put the whole chart over here, we can see that Margot has a Venus in Gemini and a Mars in Aries. So these are two very friendly personal planets to have in your chart, because a Venus in Gemini is an air sign placement which feeds the fire of her Mars sign placement. So she's a person that is very quick on her feet. She's very quick to react with a Mars in Aries. She's courageous and she has a really good sensual drive, if you know what I mean. So she has stamina, but she could, as easily as she jumps into a thing, as easily lose the energy. She doesn't have a lot of staying power and she could be quite flighty. There is a sense of a superficial form of relating to other people with a Venus in Gemini, and there is something here that is quite fascinating. Usually a Venus in Gemini shows an individual that loves children and miniatures and having fun and is this kind of bubbly and gregarious energy. This is a person that loves to read, a person that loves to talk to other people, but at the same time a Venus in Gemini shows somebody that could have two of each, sometimes even two lovers at the same time. Having this placement natally makes one attracted to reason and madness because they are contradictory, they are opposites. And a Venus in Gemini loves opposition. They love thinking differently about a situation and a person. They love to come up with the most outrageous or strange or unique design. They love to also be in connections with people that are very different from them. So people that kind of make their mind think, that test their capacity to understand somebody. Venus and Geminis are a lot about proving their mental worth in a situation in which they have to reason with somebody, in which they have to get somebody to be on their team. So you're dealing here with a person that's incredibly convincing in a very light and fun way. You wouldn't even be able to know when Margot has played you or when she has decided to softly manipulate you into doing her bidding. I'm not saying that she is an awful person. No. I'm just saying that this is a very fast an intelligent being. So don't be fooled by her appearance. Don't be fooled by her choice of acting in Barbie and thinking, oh, she's so superficial and sugar-coated. No. I think that by now you have a clear picture of the fact that with Margot, we're dealing here with a person that is considerably more than what meets the eye. And that's one of the things I really love about her. Although other people might criticize her and say that she's not being herself or she's being inauthentic. Well, she's an actress. What can you expect? She's really good at what she's doing. And the Venus in Gemini placement shows that she is really up for changing her expressions quite quickly. And she's up for a challenge as well due to her Mars in Aries. She's unafraid and she's ready to go to battle to defend what she believes in and to portray roles that could feel uncomfortable in the portrayal of other actresses. And the final placement I want to talk to you about in Margot's chart is her Saturn conjunct Uranus and Neptune retrograde planets in the 6th house, the house of work, service towards other people, daily routines, and discipline. Wow, having Saturn in the 6th house can make somebody really feel like they have to strive towards getting some work. This is an individual that feels the need to have a very disciplined relationship with their daily environment, but it's also a person that feels a little bit bogged down by, oh, I have to get up and take my pills and eat and organize things and la. So this is an energy of an individual that could feel a little bit tied into or bored by doing daily things that might be good for them. We also see here an individual that is using this energy quite beautifully in taking care of her looks. Because if she eats well, if she exercises, and some have speculated that she has also some cosmetic surgeries, so I guess that this also falls into the perfectionism energy of her 6th house. So we see here a person that is trying to make herself as perfect as possible in order to get appropriate roles. I do feel that with Saturn in the 6th house, my mother has this placement and I could observe it as I was growing up, how it was playing out in my mother's life. This means that there could be periods where she might not get work, or the jobs that she gets are quite low in quality. She might need to work with some people that are quite sleazy or people that are not really the best for her. And we see that this has happened when she was accused for having played with abusive director David O. Russell. So that was a big news piece, and this is part of her karmic 6th house placement. Sometimes when you have a Saturn in the 6th house, you go through long periods of time where you have no work, and then an opportunity comes up and you think, okay, I have to take this because I have bills to pay, and it ends up being something that reflects poorly on your role as a worker, because maybe you had to work with some people who are unethical, who are sleazy, who are just not living up to the values of the profession in which you both might have been involved in. So karma played out in her daily environment in terms of work. However, her Saturn has the saving grace that it is placed in the sign it is domicile in. So Saturn is the planet that naturally rules the sign of Capricorn, and we see that Margot in her chart has her Saturn in Capricorn. So this is a really harmonious placement. It doesn't cause her as many troubles as another individual that would have Saturn in a water sign or fire sign, which are considered to be the worst placements where Saturn could be, because in terms of having Saturn in a water sign, this could lead to all sorts of sexual and emotional related complications, and having Saturn in a fire sign can make a lot of people criticize your identity and work against you as enemies. So seeing that Margot has Saturn in Capricorn, that's her saving grace. You know, she has Saturn in an earth sign. It's not as bad as for other people. So she does get some criticism. She does need to live up to these ideals of perfectionism in her work. She could feel like, A lot of things are against her in her environment and where she needs to actually be on set and film, but at the same time she succeeds. All she needs to do is show up, persevere, not give up, and for her that's something quite natural with Jupiter conjunct her sun. So this is a really gorgeous chart. To be honest, I would have loved to be Margot and been born with such placements. In spite of the fact that her moon in Scorpio conjunct Pluto kind of give me the creeps, I feel that she can be a very intense individual that can harbor a lot of jealousy, but if she uses this energy for something quite higher minded, she can be an incredibly spiritual and healing friend, a really wonderful mother that is protective and loyal and helps her children all the way until the end. This is an individual that gives 200% in her work. All this being said, this is what I had for you. It's a wrap up, folks. Let me know in the comments, are you a Barbie girl? Do you enjoy the Harlequin era of Margot Robbie? Do you like her? Do you dislike her? What other news pieces and gossip you might have heard about her? Comment down below, let me know your thoughts. I have another special Astro Babes coming up soon. It just crossed my mind that it's been almost like months or a year if not since my last Astro Babe, so I really need to brush up on this series and make it as populated with beautiful analysis as diligently as I have been working on my Astrohunks series. So let me know which are your favorites, who would you like me to cover next, and have fun exploring astrology. If you're struggling to explore astrology or if you don't understand half of the things that I said in this clip, feel free to get in touch with me because I can create a birth chart reading for you. I offer astrology reports. I have a love asteroids report which is unique on the market. Won't find another person offering you this type of asteroid related support. Feel free to get in touch with me. The second link in the description box takes you to where you need to go. But if this is where I leave you, then take great care of yourself and ciao.